Welcome to One Image My Edit, and in this week's tutorial I think I have cracked the holy grail of presets. I have been working on trying to mimic Fujifilm 800 ISO specifically because that is what I used to shoot all the time with my medium format camera, and I've always wanted to try and emulate that particular style. So I think I've got as close to it as I possibly can, and in this tutorial I'm going to show you how to create this yourself. So you can see here there's the before and after, and we've got the common yellow skin tones there, and we've got the lovely orange to some of the highlights as well. So I'm going to show you how to do this yourself. So let's bring this back to the beginning. Let me reset this and walk you through the process. So obviously before I start, everybody's skin tone is slightly different. So depending on how dark or how light they are will determine how much yellow you want to actually have in this image. If someone has really, really dark skin and you add too much yellow, then it's going to be too washed out. So you have to be really, really careful with that, okay? But I'll walk you through the process and show you how. So the first thing I'm going to do is increase the color temperature. I'm going to push it up to +10. Okay, so we have got more of a yellow tinge to that. And I'm going to bring the tint down to -10 so that we're going into that green range. So green and yellow are very prominent within the Fujifilm 800. Contrast, I'm going to bring that down to -10 because we're going to boost the contrast later in the curve tool. Highlights, I'm going to bring these up just a little bit to +10. And the shadows, I'm going to bring that down to -40. So we're going to make the shadows a little bit darker. The whites, again, I'm going to bring them down to -40 as well, just to bring them highlights down. There we go. And then the blacks, we're going to push them up to +30, just bring a little bit of life back to the image and just bring out some detail in them darker areas there. So around +30. And again, depending on your image will determine if you need to go to maybe +45, -45 or -35 on any of the whites and shadows there. So moving on then with the texture and clarity. So I think texture we'll leave alone. Clarity, we'll probably just bring that down to about -10 because we're trying to emulate film and it didn't really have that much clarity to it. So dehaze, let's push these up. So I'm going to push this up to around +20, and that's going to help us with that real kind of film look. Just pushing that around. If I bring that down, you'll see what I mean. It just kind of warms up all them colors there. So yeah, +20 is quite good for this image. Again, depending on yours will determine how much you want to push that. Same with the vibrance and saturation. So I'm going to bring the vibrance up and the saturations down. So vibrance I'm going to push up to around +30 so we can really punch out them colors. And then just to take the sting off it, we're going to bring the saturation down to -20. There we go. So that's looking pretty good so far. So let's just have a quick look at that. You can see there what I've already done. I've just added that yellow, brought out them the details in the shadows a little bit as well. Okay. So moving on then, let's go to the curve tool. So in the curve tool, we're going to do quite a bit in this. We're going to go through all the colors. Let's start off with the tones here. So I'm going to isolate each section. So just clicking the 3 points there. I'm going to actually matte off the blacks ever so slightly. So I'm going to push it up to around the output of about 20. So we're just matting it off a little bit. Bring this down, this point here where the blacks are, just bring that down a little bit. Same with the grays, just bring them down a little bit and then push these whites up a smidgen, just so we get a really nice, simple, very slight S-curve. Let's just push that up a little bit more. So we just get a really nice slight S-curve there and matte off them blacks, and that really gives us a film look. You can see what that does, and that's why I said earlier about just bringing this contrast down, because we're going to add it back in later. So let's go to the colors now, and we're going to do the same thing with the colors, but we're going to isolate more around the black areas. So I'm going to click in the middle for the greys just so I can isolate these blacks, pull these down to around an output of around 48, around there. I'm going to add another little point here and just bring that down to around 17. You can see 17, 18 around there. And that's looking pretty good. About there, I would say. Yeah. And obviously each picture is going to be slightly different. Okay, that's looking pretty good. Let's go to the green. So again, let's do the same thing. Let's just bring that down to around there. That's looking good. Okay, same with the blues. Let's do the same here. So I'm just bringing the blues down there into the yellows, and then pull that down a little bit there. We could probably come a little bit lower. Again, this point here is we're not matting them off. We're kind of dampening down these shades and we're pushing them into the opposite area there. You can see we've pretty much got a uniform edit there. So it's a good idea just to come back and just to look, make sure you're kind of in the same areas there. So this could come down a little bit, maybe a little bit there. That's it. That's looking a lot better. Good. Okay, so let's come to the colors now. Let's start off with the hues. So I'm gonna bring the red down to around -5. Just take out a little bit of that redness, that magenta almost that we've added in there. The orange, I'm going to bring that up to around +10 because it is a yellowy orange vibe. Same with the greens. I'm going to push that up to around +10 as well. I'm going to leave the rest actually. That's okay. So the saturation, we're going to strip a few colors out. So red -6, orange about -10, yellow a little bit more because there's a lot of yellow in there, isn't there? So about -30, I think that looks good. Greens -80, just bring them out a little bit. And then aqua and blue about halfway, so -40. There we go. And then just a little bit on the purple, around -10. Same with the magenta, -10. There we go. Let's go to the luminance, so the brightness of these, and we're gonna push most of these up. So let's go to the orange, push that up to +20, and there. Yellow, again, we're going to take the sting out a little bit. It's -10, about there. This looks good. Green +30-ish, around 27 looks quite good on here. Same with the aqua, about there, 29, 28, that looks good on here. Same with the blue, about 20, that looks good. In fact, I'm going to bring this down a little bit, this aqua, to about 20. Yeah, I think that looks better. Yeah, that looks good. So that's good. If we look at what we've done with the colors, you can see there why we needed to take out some of that yellow just to get them skin tones back again. You can see what that's doing there, yeah? And now we can come into the color grading and basically just color grade this so we can get the true colors that we want. So let's start with the shadows. I'm going to go with a hue of around 50. So you can come up to the hue, just double click, type in 50, and it'll give you that lovely yellow. And then saturation about 20, something like that. That's pretty good. So yeah, that works out quite well. It's quite a nice amount. And then let's go to the midtones. And then let's do a hue of 40. So let's double click on there, 40, and saturation of around 15, 16. Around there, that's quite good. So that gives us our sort of orange yellow vibe. You can see there, that's what's going to give us that Fuji look that's so nice. So if we look at that, just the color grading, you can see what that's doing is, so we're bringing back that yellow and orange, but we're doing it in a way that it's not going to overpower the rest of the image, okay? So let's add a little bit of noise reduction, I think in the color rather than anything else. You don't need to worry about the brightness because it's quite a bright image anyway. So around 25 is quite good, just to bring that down. And then what I want to do is add some noise into this, so that we can, sorry, not noise, grain, so we can mimic that lovely 800 look. So I'm going to push this to around 25, 26, could go a little bit more, 27, size 25, roughness 50. I think that's quite good. And in this shot, we could add a little bit of a vignette if we wanted to, but I think because we've got the light coming from camera right across there, I think if we do that, it will dull this side down. So I think I would leave that. But obviously, depending on your image, you might want to add that. So let's have a look then. So if we press the Y key, we can see there's the before and after. So we've got a really, really nice image there, and that is quite close to the Fuji 800. Now, what we can do is come back to our blue, and like I said, skin tones vary. Now like I said, there's a lot of yellow in this, so we might want to bring this up a little bit just on these white points here. You can see what that's doing to the skin tone, because there is maybe a little bit too much yellow in there. So let's just pull these up. I think it's around there. There we go. So it's a real slight adjustment, and it will be on the blue and yellow tone curve there. This is where you would want to adjust this according to whoever you're photographing. Like I said, if they've got dark skin, then you're going to have to just bring that up a little bit. So I think it's around there. That's quite good there. And then just bring these midtones back in a little bit, because the Fujifilm does have a yellow vibe to it. Around there, I think. That's good. So that's it. That's how you do it. That is my Fujifilm 800 ISO look, and you can see we've got a nice bit of grain in there as well going on. We've got the lovely warm light coming in, so we've kind of used that to take advantage of this edit. Now, when you're using this edit, ideally you want to use something that's got a real nice warm glow to it, like this, or it's got plenty of green in it, so foliage, because you'll get the full effect then, because it's like I say, it's a lovely film for skin tones and for warm images, and I think that looks pretty good. And I think that's as close as you're going to get to the Fuji 800 ISO. So I hope you've enjoyed that. I look forward to seeing these on your pictures. I'll see you in the next one. Take care. Bye bye.